So in this video, I want to go over the power of an auto dialer. When you need one, what niches you need it in, if it's mandatory, if it's not mandatory. A little about myself. My name is Michael Sampson, Vice President of Inside Sales for Not Canada. We're Canada's largest reseller in telecommunications and home security services. I've actually been the #1 representative in my niche for the past 5 years straight, going on 6, let's hope. And yeah, so let's get into it. What the hell is an auto dialer and do I need it? So first and foremost, if you're in a remote sales niche, and most of them are like this, so to be transparent, there's going to be a few people that probably won't get a ton of value out of this depending on which niche you're in. But if you're in a remote sales niche where your job is to literally sit down, and this is the best, by the way, because it eliminates a lot of bullshit, but your job is literally to show up on a Zoom call or a phone call because your leads are scheduling on a calendar link and you don't have to set that appointment, then this video probably isn't going to serve you much value. However, if you're in a remote sales niche that maybe the company provides you with 10 to 20 warm or cold inbound leads. So what's a warm lead? A warm lead is somebody that inquired on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever social media, on the company website, whatever way, and raised both hands saying, hey, I'm interested in this product or service. Get me on the phone with a sales rep. Let's see what this is all about. So that's a warm lead. A cold lead is somebody that doesn't know who the fuck you are. They don't know you from Tom, Dick, or Harry. And this is an Antarctic lead. This is as if like you're door knocking or cold calling. So back to that example. Let's imagine that your company provides you with either 20 leads a day that are warm or cold. It doesn't matter, but this is an absolute game changer. This is what literally took me from zero to hero, to be totally transparent. So you could do one of two things when you have 20 leads, okay? Here is the manual way and here is the 1950 way of doing things. The 1950 way of doing things are, you're gonna pick up the phone, you're gonna dial the number, you're gonna wait for them to pick up. If they pick up, great, you hit them with your pitch. If they don't pick up, maybe you leave them a voicemail, you hang up, you call the next number. Same thing, pick up, call the next number. Now, there's nothing wrong with that because taking action is better than not taking action. But here's things that are wrong, or sorry, not wrong, but here are things that are negative about doing that. Number one, efficiency. If you have to pick up the phone and dial, in between calls, if you're anything like me, by nature, I feel like I'm pretty lazy. I would make 1 or 2 calls and then I'd go get a bite to eat. I'd go hang out with some buddies. I'd go on Facebook. I'd go on Instagram. Then I'd come back, make my call. So first and foremost, it's very slow. It's a slow process. Secondly, you're more reluctant to make the call if you have to manually press a button every single time whenever you're calling out, right? Because it's like, oh man, I have to press the button and then I have to listen to it ring. Maybe they pick up, maybe they don't. So those are the two main reasons why manual calls are not the best. They're definitely not the most efficient. But if you're not aware that there's an easier, faster, more effective, more efficient way of doing things, then I can't blame you. And that's why I tip my hat to you if you're watching this video, getting this knowledge, because this might be something completely new to you. So let's talk about the right way to do things. The way that you could literally condense time frames, compress time frames, and literally get more leverage, more input and get a massive output in the same amount of time. So if I'm back to my example of manual calls, in 20 minutes, how much manual calls could I make? Maybe, I don't even know the exact time. Now, with the other side of things, with something called an auto dialer. An auto dialer enables you to call multiple names and numbers at one single time. And when that person picks up the phone, so for example, I'm going to drop some names on some dialers that I've used in the past. So I'm going to kind of give a review, and I don't get any kind of affiliate commissions. This is just my 5 years of experience in remote sales, and I've experimented and I've tried different dialers in the past. So one of the first dialers I used was a dialer called Phone Burner. And how it works is, it's a great, all of these companies are great, by the way, but it dials one by one by one by one by one for you, which is awesome. So I'd load it up with 100 leads, I'd hit the start button, and then it would dial the first lead. So it's just dialing one name, one number. If a voicemail came up, there's a button for me to hit drop voicemail. I was able to record my pre-recorded voicemail. I'd press that button, and then it would connect me to the next call, but it would drop the voicemail for me. So what am I doing? Efficiency. I'm working so much faster compared to if I'm on the phone doing this, doing that. Efficiency, speed and numbers, speed and exposure. You want to get to the presentations as fast as possible, because in this niche, in this specific niche, I was setting and I was closing. Again, this is why this might not be pertinent to some individuals, because some individuals are not required to set their call. So that's how this one would work. It'd call one by one. If they pick up, great. If they don't, I was able to press a button that could drop a voicemail. And at the time, I don't know if they still have this feature, at the time, I was able to it would send a text message at once. So I've had this conversation multiple times, but in remote sales, you want to be attacking it on all angles. You want to be calling, you want to be emailing, you want to be dropping a voicemail. So with a click of a button, I could drop a voicemail and I could SMS them. And I think there was even a point where you could do email as well, but I can't recall. But anyway, so this was great. This took me from zero to hero really quick, because it made me so much more efficient. And in that same window of time, if I had carved out half hour of calls doing manually or doing this method, where am I gonna have the most leverage? Where am I gonna have the most output? Obviously using the dialer. So that software was great, had no issues with it, until we increased ad spend. And now instead of getting hundreds of leads, it's 200-300 leads, and I have to sort through these leads really quickly to find out who the buyers are not and who the liars are and who are the total tire kickers. So I then tried to dabble with a dialer called Call Tools. Now, Call Tools is great because instead of just dialing one by one by one by one, this is now a real auto dialer where I believe you could dial up to 20 lines at once, which is absolute it's nuts. No one's gonna need to dial that many outbound calls at that time, unless one, you're running a scam operation and you just need straight numbers to get connected with people to sell them whatever scam you're trying to sell them. Number two, you're doing a serious cold calling campaign that is a worldwide opportunity that, yeah, you're a hardcore cold caller, or you're working in a call center. Bottom line, depending on you're probably never gonna need that many lines being ran at the same time. So with Call Tools, why I wanted to try it out was because of that feature. But with Phone Burner, if you recall what I was saying, I can only dial one at a time. So now I wanted to dial two people at a time. So how it would work is I would make the calls, and then two people are getting called at the same time. Whoever picks up first, the dialer will hang up on the second person, and then that person will get on the phone and I could have my conversation with them. Call Tools was great. The one annoying thing about Call Tools was it was super complex to set up. Like super complex. Like I felt like you had to be a fucking software engineer to set up the dispositions and set up how to end the call and to do this or that. So that was one of the main reasons why I'm no longer doing business with them. But when I was doing business, it's funny because from phone burner, I got more production. And then when I went to this other dialer, call tools, I got more production because I'm doing more efficiency. Phone burner was strictly one by one by one. You can't do multi-line with that one. Now, fast forward to today, the dialer I'm using is a dialer called Kixi. What I love most about Kixi, and again, I don't get any referral commission for this or anything like that. I just want to share knowledge on what a dialer is, figure out if it's something you need, and maybe point you guys in the right direction with one of them here. So Kixi is a multi-line dialer as well. You could dial up to 10 lines at once, at least with the package. I don't work for them, but the package I took, I could dial 10 dials at once. The amazing thing about Kixi is that it has something called, I think it's called local presence. Now, what the hell do I mean by local presence? So I'm based in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. If I'm calling somebody in, let's say, Virginia, when I call out through that system, it will show up on that customer's phone, Virginia area code. Or if I'm calling to somebody in Winnipeg, it will show the number that I'm calling out to Winnipeg. In addition to that, you could have your company name on the caller ID. And that's one thing I failed to mention with phone burner and call tools was because you're doing so much volumes of calls, your number gets burned really fast, and then you get something called spam likely. So I'm not to toot my own horn, I've been doing this for 5-6 years. I'm pretty damn good on the phone. So I'm able to have the skill set, and it's learnable and teachable, so anybody can learn. I'm able to defuse that situation because I would call somebody and I would say, I'm from XYZ company, massive telecommunications company here in Canada that everybody knows. And they would say, okay, if you're calling from this company, why the hell does your caller ID say scam likely? And they put you on the spot like that if you don't have enough confidence, enough posture and conviction to skillfully explain what's going on and then transition and move through the sales process, you're dead in the water. So the cool thing with this dialer I'm using now is that rarely ever happens because every single time you dial out, it's giving a new number, right? So benefit number one, I show up in their area code. And why is that a huge benefit? Because I don't know about you, when I get a random call from a number I don't know, but it's at least in my area code. I don't know about you guys, but for me, I'm more likely to pick up 9 times out of 10 compared to if it's a Phoenix number and I'm in Alberta, Canada. I'm not picking that shit up. I don't know anybody there. Why the hell are you calling me? I'm not expecting a call there. But if the area code shows up as that same province or city or state or town or whatever, you're most likely to pick up. Benefit number two, you're able to have your company name on the numbers as well. So if I inquired online for XYZ company and it shows the company, then okay, great, that's awesome. I was expecting the call. Now, the third benefit with Kixi, why I stuck with them, and this is my place to be for the past, I think 2 or 3 years, it's been awesome. The third big benefit is that you get multiple, every time you call out, it will give a different number with that area code. So why is this a benefit? My daily method of operation, and some people are gonna be like, dude, that's too aggressive, but that's why I'm in the position I am within my company, is because I do things a certain way. My daily method of operation was I call my leads 5 times a day, 6 times a week until they pick up or kindly or directly tell me to fuck off. That's what's worked. The amount of people that have picked up on the 18th time and been like, oh, I appreciate this so much, thank you, and we do business. The issue with that, with things like phone burner and call tools, they didn't give you a rotation of numbers. So when that customer sees that number, what do? If they don't want to talk to you, They hit block the number and then you're screwed. And that worked on both platforms. That was on both phone burner and call tools at the time. This was years ago. Maybe they have some newer technology in place that blocks that off. Now with Kixi, because every single time I'm getting a new number in that area code when I'm calling out, guess what? They're either picking up or they're telling me to F off. There's no way for them to block, which is absolutely fantastic because it gives you an opportunity to set that appointment or to close that sale. So those are the dialers that I've personally tried out. Oh, and there's actually a fourth. So within my white labeled version of High Level, my Automations X CRM that I'm using, if you're at all interested in that, leave a comment below the video and I'm more than happy to connect you with this CRM. Within the CRM, there is a power dialer. So what I mean by a power dialer, it won't do all those cool features that I was telling you about with Kixi, the third dialer we're talking about, but at the very least, it'll give you one by one calling with one number, which if that's all you could afford and if that's all you have access to, here's the bottom line. Having that feature compared to a manual dial beats that any day of the week. So if you had to choose between that and a manual dial, 100% take the power dialer, especially if you're working in a warm lead setting where these people actually opted in and you're not working in a setting where you're getting 50,000 cold names and numbers that you have to dial. Then a power dialer is all that you need, just the one by one power dialer. So within my white labeled CRM, I do have access to that. So all the reps that I onboard within my organization, they get that and the company takes care of whatever expenses with that. And just by implementing that with our sales reps that are setting and closing in that specific niche, we notice a drastic improvement in production. And it just makes sense because they're so much more productive in that same amount of time. It takes away all the call reluctance, it takes away all the guesswork. All you literally have to do is click a button, sit back, wait for the thing to call out, and connect with the individual. So why people aren't using this, I don't know. We're in the 21st century where you have to find creative ways to get leverage. And if you don't have leverage or you're not using the system and you need something like this, I don't know. Again, you're either unaware or just not the smartest individual. But yeah, so that's my review on the dialers I've used. Hopefully I made it crystal clear on what an auto dialer, what a power dialer is. And you should know, depending on what remote sales niche that you're involved in, whether you even need this or not. Because again, to recap, if you're working in a informational product sales role where you're selling health, wealth, or happiness offer, and all you have to do is show up to the Zoom call or the phone call and the setting's already been done, you don't need this. But if you're in an opportunity where you do have to set and close and you have an abundance of name and numbers, then you absolutely need to be on this. If the ownership doesn't have this, show them this video so they have an awareness and they have some ideas on which companies would be best for their endeavors. Now, there's a ton of these softwares out there. Last one, just to wrap up here, there's another software called Call Tools, or sorry, not Call Tools, I'm sorry, what's the other, a VC Dialer, sorry, VC Dialer. This is next level. This is if you're really running, I don't want to say you're running a scam operation, but you literally have hundreds of thousands of cold names and numbers. I think you could dial 50 lines at once or 30 lines at once, and this is where shit gets like crazy. You don't need, if you're doing remote sales and they're giving you inbound, you're not going to need to go that deep. And it has the same kind of features where it'll switch out the numbers and all that stuff. But I've worked with some businesses that use that dialer and it's super complicated to set up. You have to buy servers and all that shit. So depending on what you're running, you definitely don't need to look at that. Another thing that I forgot to mention with the Kixie dialer that's really, really cool, and again, no commission, no anything, just the software I believe in and that I've been using, and it's been great. But it integrates nicely with high level. So in the CRM, when you put the notes, it'll be able to auto-populate with that, and it just streamlines the whole process. So yeah, that's what an auto and a power dialer is. If you're not using one, get one if you need one. If you need any help with or have any questions with this, leave a comment below, hit me up, or somewhere in the description there's a way to get in touch with me. And yeah, remote sales is the best opportunity.